Of all the invasions carried out by the United States, the invasion of Grenada is probably one of the least remembered. Why would the United States invade Grenada, a nation you could fit in the state of Massachusetts alone 78 times?
Ever since Christopher Columbus spotted Grenada in the corner of his eye back in 1498, Europeans tried and ultimately succeeded in controlling Grenada. First it was the French and then it was the British. In 1974, the British finally granted independence to Grenada under the leadership of Sir Eric Gairy. Sir Eric Gairy was the leader of the Grenada United Labour Party, which was a right-wing party. Grenada at this time was going through a lot of civil strife. A left-wing party called the New Jewel Movement was on the rise. This was a Marxist party led by Maurice Bishop. Its goal was to liberate the working class. Sir Eric Gairy used his Mongoose Gang to suppress opponents. The Mongoose Gang was a private militia that answered to Gairy. Many of its members had criminal records. It was remembered for being ruthless towards any opposition to Gairy's regime. In 1976 there was a general election and Eric Gairy won, but it was seen as fraudulent by pretty much everyone. Civil strife continued between Bishop's party and Gairy's regime until Bishop led the New Jewel Movement in an armed rebellion in 1979. He was successful and Grenada became the only socialist country within the Commonwealth. The United States had supported Gairy and were afraid that Bishop would develop a relationship with Cuba. It was part of America's domino theory. First Cuba, now Grenada, soon they would be surrounded by communists. Meanwhile in Grenada, Bishop was doing some positive things. He made medical consultations free of charge. He worked to develop new infrastructure. He began to reshape the education system of Grenada with literacy campaigns. Unemployment was reduced from 49% before the revolution to 14% by 1983. Under Gairy's regime, the economy experienced negative growth, while under the Bishop's control, the economy experienced modest growth. Despite how well the country was doing, it was still socialist, which much of the West hated. It was isolated internationally, with the UK suspending economic assistance. An assassination attempt was made on Bishop's life in 1980, with 3 dying in a bomb attack. Bishop openly accused the CIA of being involved. If they were, which is likely, let's be honest, they have never admitted it. Bishop also started building an airport, which the British had been planning on prior to independence. The American government randomly accused Grenada of constructing an airbase to help the Soviets and Cubans transport weapons to Central America to enhance Soviet influence in the area. Of course, this was a completely unfounded accusation. A member of Congress was invited to check and see what was being built. He returned home and reported that it was just an airport. Despite the accusation having been debunked, US President Ronald Reagan saw the Soviet airbase conspiracy theory as a fact. As a matter of fact, Bishop's decision not to affiliate with the Soviet Union was heavily controversial within his government. This led to a coup in 1983, with Bishop being killed by a firing squad. A military council seized power led by Hudson Austin. The military council announced that anyone found on the streets for the next 4 days would be executed immediately. Grenada's Caribbean neighbours appealed for the United States to help. The Governor General of Grenada, Paul Scoon, who, by the way, if you don't know what a Governor General is, that's basically just the Crown's representative on Grenada, secretly requested that the United States invade. On the 25th of October 1983, the United States invaded Grenada. The invasion was condemned by the United Nations for violating international law. The United Kingdom criticised the invasion, considering Grenada was a member of the Commonwealth. The United States justified their invasion by saying that there was American medical students on the island that could have been held hostage and there would have been a repeat of the Iran hostage crisis. When the medical students were actually asked, they said that they were safe and didn't feel in danger, and the next day they changed their mind and said the United States had saved their lives, which is interesting. Anyways, I think it's safe to say that the real reason for the invasion was that Reagan hated communism and wanted an excuse to get rid of communism on America's doorstep. It was the first time since the end of World War II that the communist government was overthrown by armed means. Reagan wanted to show people that he was tough on communism. It was also an opportunity to show the American people that America were back on their feet after their defeat in the Vietnam War. To me, it's kind of like the Falklands War for the British. Both nations have been doing pretty badly militarily in the past couple of decades, and in the early 80s they both tried to show their people that they still had it militarily.